Thank you so much for attending my presentation about Pokemon's most terrifying ability, and first let's quickly go over their mechanics. There's actually two abilities that fit here, those being Defiant and Competitive. I'm going to be referring to them as Defiant since it's way more common, but we'll specify when we talk about the other. These are pretty simple. When one of the holder's stats are lowered, their attack, or special attack in Competitive's case, gets a +2 increase. This notably requires your opponent to lower your stats. You can't do this yourself in any way. If my Defiant Passimian uses close combat, it does not get the boost. This also applies to allies. I can't click Leer into my partner Phalanx as it sets up a no retreat, for example. That would pretty obviously be busted. Thus, this ability might seem a bit niche. Sure, the reward is high, but if my opponent knows about the ability, they could just not lower my stats, right? Yes, but trust me, that's what makes Defiant good. Defiant's role in singles is very interesting. There really aren't that many times that you'll be in stat lowering situations, but there are enough to make it relevant. The most common is Defog. Defog is one of the best moves in the game, clearing hazards. Almost every solid team has some form of hazard control, and this move, while not always run, is seen pretty often. However, that's not all Defog does. It also lowers the opponent's evasion by one stage, a completely negligible effect 90% of the time. But for Defiant, this one stat drop makes all the difference. The ability is thus often run as a Defog deterrent. This makes clearing hazards off the field very dangerous, as you could easily give the opponent a free Source Dance boost on switch-in. The choice is difficult: get rid of the ever-important hazards or risk making an opposing threat even more powerful. While Defog is the main one, there are many other ways to get an attack raise in theory. Becoming stronger off of stray intimidates can be very powerful. Sticky web offense teams don't exactly love handing out boosts to powerful threats. Moves with secondary stat drop changes aren't as easy to click when there's a decent chance it goes off the rails. It's not making a Pokemon good on its own, but Defiant can have a major impact. While in singles, Defiant is a good way to stop some strong but less common options, it's flat out insane in VGC. There's one area where this really matters, and it's a big one: Intimidate. Intimidate is a very strong ability, lowering the attack of each opposing Pokemon by one stage. While already decent in singles, it's super common in doubles, being present on a large chunk of good teams. Here's an example. Recently, there was a huge online tournament with 435 players. Incineroar, the best Intimidate user, was on 35% of teams. Over 1/3 of all competitors had this one Pokemon that loses to Defiant. There's more though. Aquataurus had 7% usage, Hisuian Arcanine had 4%, and Salamence had 3%. All in all, strong teams are pretty damn likely to have Intimidate. This makes Defiant very relevant. Just having one of these Pokemon on the field basically shuts down an entire aspect of a team. I'm not comfortable sending my Incineroar in against a Defiant user even if the cat absolutely destroys its partner. It's the strongest on sweepers as it basically negates the main form of counterplay. Intimidate cycling to lower attack is a common way to slow down powerful physical threats, but you obviously can't do that here. It also shuts down Parting Shot, a pivoting move that drops each of the target's attacking stats by one stage. It's just another way that Defiant completely destroys common counterplay. Even though I obviously can't go over every time Defiant has been good, I do want to bring up some examples for both singles and doubles. Galarian Articuno is a pretty decent lower tier competitive user, leveraging strong stats and a fine move pool to put in a lot of work. Considering its monster 125 special attack and workable 95 speed, it can end games instantly if allowed to get a boost. Bisharp is even scarier, as at +2 attack, its priority sucker punches hit extremely hard and can, in theory, sweep teams and can decurrent Jank Gambit. Speaking of Gambit, it's a very powerful Defiant user in VGC. It loves running bulky Source Dance, being very difficult to take down and stop. You can't intimidate it, and KOing outright is extremely difficult, turning Gambit into a remarkably consistent offensive weapon. Annihilate fills a very similar role, boosting via bulk up. It often runs alongside Mousehold, whose Follow Me and Friend Guard keep the ape safe to prepare a sweep, and if they instead use the side beat up to turn Rage Fist into a 250 base power demon, good luck stopping it without Intimidate attack drops. In conclusion, Defiant and Competitive are very powerful in very cool ways. While they normally don't activate that often, the role they play in deterring specific options is both relevant and interesting. Thank you so much for watching.